Ladies and gentlemen, hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I, of course, am your maestro, your conductor, your master of puppets, Mr. Warren Hayes. And this is the Mr. Warren Hayes Show of October 3rd, 2019. This is a very auspicious occasion. This is the first Mr. Warren Hayes Show that occurs, that occurs after the official sound off of the Wednesday Night Wars. They've started, ladies and gentlemen. It's a thing now. We're deep into it, knee deep at this point. With NXT and AEW going head to head, we're going to be talking about this, of course. What else is there to talk about this week? I mean, there's other stuff, but, you know, I want people to tune in. I'm going to talk about AEW and NXT, but we are also going to talk about WWE RAW this week. Really weird to have nothing to say about SmackDown this week, but hey, look, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get through the usual stuff, such as saying hello, a gracious how you do to everyone joining live. Why did my voice do that? Everyone joining us live tonight on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, because I do these live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you ever have the opportunity to join us live, it's fantastic. We have a very friendly and welcoming live chat, bunch of regulars, great people. We have Tim here this evening. We have Benoit as well, Robert Larry, Nick Wolf is here as well. Look at that. We have Aaron J's fan who's here as well. We have, look at that. We have Tony from the Get the Tables podcast who's here. How you doing? King Junie just jumped in. Carlos is here. And people have a tendency to start dropping in once I'm done talking about all my plugs, too. They're like, it's about 7-8 minutes in. Warren should be done now. Caleb Smith, not used to my screaming. What are you talking about, Caleb? Are you some kind of noob to the show here? Are you oh, wait. My audio is really bad. I just what? My audio is really bad. Hang on a second. I'm going to fix that right now. I haven't realized. These you folks, you're too kind to me. You're like all sitting back here and you're like, Warren, his audio is shit, but we're gonna let him rant. Give me a quick second here and get into settings and we'll fix this immédiatement. This makes no sense. I mean, I'm peaking like nuts. Like nuts, I tell you. How's everybody doing? Otherwise, I hope you're all having a great week. But I am gonna fix the sound here. My goodness. Microphone. No. It's weird that it's peaking so quickly, so heavily, and the master volume and the. Hang on a second here. Is this better? Not really. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. Bear with me here. These are the joys of doing it live, I guess. Just give me a second here. Give me a quick second. Yeah, for some reason it's peaked out of it. There we go. This is better, right, folks? I think this is better. I really do think this is better. Why don't you give me a thumbs up in the chat if this is better? I'm pretty sure this sounds a lot better. Yeah, there we go. Good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for pointing it out, Caleb. Caleb gets brownie points tonight. Good for Caleb. All right. So welcome to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Let me start this over again. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I am Mr. Warren Hayes, and this is the Thursday edition, the October 3rd edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Thank you for being here. We're going to be talking about AEW. We're going to be talking about WWE. We're going to be talking about NXT. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of things. So and again, I want to take a moment here to say hello to everyone in the live chat. And I'm going to do it nice and properly without busting out your eardrums. All right? Just to make sure that everyone is sound here and knows that I took the time to salute them properly. Here we go. Tim is here in the chat. How you doing? Benoit, Robert, Larry are here as well. We have Aaron J's fan who's here. Nick Wolf is in the chat. Aaron J's fan, but I already said his name. Tony from the Get the Tables podcast is here. How you doing? Sir King Juni is here. Carlos has joined us. Caleb Smith. J.S. Brown is here. Critical Sting just popped in. We have a fantastic live chat here, and I hope you do take the opportunity to come and join us at some point. If you've never joined the Mr. Warren Hayes Show live every Thursday at 9 p.m., this is really, really a fun, wonderful place to be, to come and chat about wrestling with some fantastic people. I am really, really honored to have to have amassed such a fantastic group of people who just join in every Thursday and don't take shots at each other. It's very respectful. We have differences of opinion. Those things occur, but it never degenerates, does it? It's an above average place to come chat about wrestling because we have above average people hanging out here. King Juni is on his lunchtime because he's over in Australia. Bob Aruski just jumped in. He says Anthony went over as usual, talking about the Smart to Death podcast. It just finished. Hashtag Smart to Hayes every Thursday evening. But yeah, so there we go. So live chat, live people, great people here. Come and join us if you have the opportunity. This is a busy week. It's a busy week. We had all the stuff happening. We have WWE. We have SmackDown debuting on Fox tomorrow. I'm pulling more duty now over at I'm also 12 years old. 7 years old. I don't even think a 12-year-old would fight that. But yeah, I'm pulling more weight over on Fightful. Did the Wednesday Night War podcast with Sean Ross Sapp and Alex Pulowski last evening, where we reviewed both AEW and NXT. That was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to keep doing that with the boys. We're going to be doing that every Wednesday, so that's going to be great. Friday, tomorrow, be sure to join me after SmackDown over on the Fightful channel. Post show with Sean, just me and him. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really, really psyched to see how it's going to happen, what's going to happen. So that's really cool. Then on Saturday, I am going to be joined by Tony of the Get the Tables podcast. He's going to be joining me on Saturday morning to do Hell in a Cell predictions. If WWE decides to confirm more than 3 matches, then we'll actually have a long show instead of a 15-minute affair. Because right now there's still just 3 matches that have been announced. It's crazy. 11 a.m. Saturday morning, Get the Tables podcast with your boy Warren right here on the channel, youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. Then, of course, available on all podcast applications afterwards. And you know that already. The Mr. Warren Hayes Show is available on all good podcast platforms. Every application that you like to listen podcasts on, Warren Hayes is there as well. You know how it goes. That's fantastic. So be sure to be there as well, and be sure to follow Bell to Bells, your #1 super extraordinary place to get all your women's wrestling coverage by a fantastic group of people. That's BELLTOBELLES.com, and follow Bell to Bells on Twitter as well. The big announcement that your boy Warren made last week is still very much ongoing right now. Patreon. I have a Patreon. I have stuff going up exclusive to people who feel like they want to support the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I'm not going to go through the whole spiel, everything that I talked about last week, the reasons why I got into it, how I feel about advertising and stuff like that. But if you do feel Like, you can manage it, most importantly. Throwing a couple of bucks towards your boy Warren's way is fantastic, and it will help grow the show. It will allow me to do more. And this is the best time in the history of a long time to be a content creator on the internet focused on wrestling. With everything that's happening, it's crazy, it's fun, and I want to be able to do more, want to be able to invest more time in doing it. And I've already started this week. I already have some impressions that were thrown up earlier this week, and I'm going to be debuting this evening my Patreon exclusive live stream immediately after this one. Well, immediately, a few minutes after. I call it Warren is off the clock, because it's kind of like, yeah, you know what, we're take it much more chill, talk about stuff, but we're gonna have more topics over there that we're not going to be discussing here on the show. So it's like an extended version of the Mr. Warren Hayes show. Warren is off the clock. I'm going to be joined by Kristen Ashley of Bell to Bells, and we're going to be talking about some news and some rumors regarding Stardom. There's some stuff happening in Stardom that Kristen has the scoopsies on, and she's been gracious enough to accept to joining me tonight. On the Patreon side to talk about it. So if you want to listen to that, it's on the Power Pal tier, $5 a month. Otherwise, if you just want to show your support, show that you enjoy the show, I have a tier called Friend of the Show. It's $2 a month, and you just jump in and and it's just like a thank you, Warren. Good job. We appreciate what you do. And I'm like, hey, guys, seriously, you're too kind. So there we go. So do consider that. It's at patreon.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, in case you're wondering. I think we have everything out of the way. I think we're good to go. I'm really excited to talk about the Wednesday Night Wars, guys. But before we do, we got to go through the WWE inspection. And the WWE inspection is going to start this evening with some cool beans. Who doesn't like some cool beans, especially when they're cool and well-deserved? Such as the opening segment of Monday Night Raw with Rey Mysterio Jr. Rey comes out, and he's got his mask on. Why is that a thing? Of course, Rey Mysterio comes out and has his mask on. And he comes out and he talks to his kid. Rey has a match later in the evening against Seth Rollins for the Universal title. He won a 5-way thing the week before. Fantastic match. And now he's getting his payoff tonight. Or is he? Because Brock Lesnar's music hits and Brock comes to the ring with Paul Heyman. I liked how Paul Heyman rips the microphone out of... is it Paul Heyman or is it Brock? I can't remember. But they rip the microphone out of Rey's hand and they start to talk, but Rey rips it right back out. But that little show of temerity by your boy Rey, that was no good. That was not a good plan, because boy, oh boy, did Brock Lesnar beat the shit out of Rey Mysterio that evening. And you know what? He F5'd him twice. But you say, hey, you know what? Rey took a beating there. That's nothing compared to the beating that Dominic took. Boy! That kid got, as we say in the business, murdered. I thought he was dead. Maybe slightly exaggerating, but Brock went to the outside, saw Dominic, who was standing up, sort of cheering on his dad. Dominic sat down. When Brock came close to him, was like, look, I don't want no trouble, sir. But Brock was having none of that. And he just went right for him. And man, oh man, Dominic bumped like hell. And he sold like a pro. Oh my goodness. And like this was an ass whooping is what it was. The bump that he took when he was thrown against the ring post by Brock, that was nuts. He got him into the ring and he didn't throw him. He launched Dominic with a German suplex. And then Brock leaves the ring. He comes back for more. Ray's trying to shelter his boy. He's got nothing to it. And then Brock leaves the ring. The officials come. And Brock goes back and he beats up some officials and beats up on Dominic and Ray some more and throws them out of the ring. I loved this segment. I loved it. This is exactly what Brock Lesnar does. This is what Brock Lesnar is meant to do. Come into the ring, cause grief, beat the shit out of people, and leave. I thought it was fantastic. And yes, it was the setup for the SmackDown show. His match against Kofi Kingston. Why am I drawing a blank? So he had to come off as an absolute monster, unfeeling, doesn't give a shit. This was great stuff. This is what you expect out of Brock Lesnar. I thought it was a fantastic segment to start off Raw. So that was definitely some cool beans. What wasn't necessarily cool beans and maybe even some hot trash was Alexa versus Sasha. Now we have a few levels here of hot trash, okay? I like the finish, but that's about it. And it's not because these women are no good. It's not because they don't know how to work. It's not because they're not talented. It's because they didn't do anything. And this was a marquee match. But I'm going to get into the marquee match section of this in just a quick second. There wasn't a match to speak of. There wasn't really a match here. I thought this stunk. I really, really do think it stunk. Sasha is booked like a chump since returning. And I said it last week. I think I said it the week before. Guess what? I'm going to say it again. Outside of her, out of the night she returned, beat up Natalya, cracked chairs across Becky Lynch's back, she has not been booked as a threat. She's been booked as a chicken shit heel who has spent more time flat on her back, either losing matches or winning matches much to her outside of her control, whether it be Bayley getting pins or her getting provoking DQs. She has not been built as a proper threat to Becky Lynch. I talked about it last week. I'm not going to get back into it. It's still the same situation, though. When Sasha returned, we all got excited because, yes, we have a shining star here. Someone who can pose a legitimate threat to Becky. It doesn't feel that way. And this feud definitely does not feel like it deserves to be inside a Hell in a Cell. Becky Lynch came out on commentary, right? And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Put on commentary one of your best mic workers, one of the most capable wrestlers you have on your roster to do off the cuff commentary and be entertaining in the meantime. Becky has all those. She's super good at it. So they get her on there, and all she does for the better part of her presence there is maybe a minute of commentary. Then she stands up on the commentary table and starts taping her fists, and she stays there for the entirety of the match, saying nothing, just standing there. What an absolute shitty, poor use of Becky Lynch in this circumstance. I didn't understand. The finish I thought was all right, but still really weird. Not because I didn't. This is what I would have liked with the win. Just Sasha getting a decisive, clear win over Alexa. No, there's no reason to protect Alexa these days. Alexa has a good level of bulletproofism. That she can, so she can take a couple of hits. That's not a problem. But how do you do this before Hell in a Cell and still not bring it up a notch? Sasha and Becky, they went after each other after the match, but it was very, very tame. And Sasha hit the bricks at some point. She's just like, nope, I've got enough of this. And I understand she's a heel. I understand she's supposed to run away. But Becky Lynch is such a strong, convincing presence. She needs a strong, convincing heel. Adversary, a great antagonist. This is why it worked so well with Ronda. Ronda didn't cower away from her. She stood up to her. This is why it works so well with Charlotte. It's the same thing. Charlotte doesn't cower away. She thinks she's better than her and is ready to throw down with her. She's that kind of champion. You need that kind of opposition, so that when Becky does win, it does feel like she surmounted something. And on top of all of this, I don't like the bait and switches that we got on Monday. This match, as well as the this match here, Alexa versus Sasha, plus Ray versus Seth, were advertised, dare I say, hyped for Monday, and we got neither. It was not a match. It was not a match that we got in regards to Sasha versus Alexa. It was a thing. It was a thing that was set up for something else. But it was not a match, definitely not one that you spent the entire 4 or 5 days previous hyping, trying to get people behind. Same thing goes with Seth and Ray, where everyone was really excited. Had a fantastic 5-way match last week. Ray came out looking great. Everyone excited for this main event, and it gets pulled from underneath us. That's good old-fashioned bait and switching. That's the kind of shit that WCW was pulling in the 90s that everyone really got fed up of. And we got it twice tonight. Not a fan. Absolutely not a fan. So all of that was trash. And I'll tell you what's not trash. People joining us in the chat like Vape Ross. Vape, how you doing? We have Soul, who's here as well. Kristen's here. Anthony from Smart to Death is here as well. Michael Stepney joined in. Or did I see it before, Michael? I don't remember. Seems to me I just saw your name pop up. Benoit asks, I wonder when Ray's championship match will occur. Looks like something that WWE is going to put on ice. This is the kind of thing that, I mean, this makes sense, right? Where, he did earn the match, so it should happen down the line. It should happen because he did earn his position. But it's also the kind of thing that WWE can toss away really easily. However, now that you do mention it, you know what? What if on Sunday the Fiend wins the belt, and Ray comes out and says, "Hey, I still have my match." What if the Fiend? I still have my title match. And what if he goes up against the Fiend, and the Fiend does indeed retire him? What if the Fiend does take him out once and for all? Nick Wolf says Raw's the B show. It felt like a B show this week. Spoiler alert, I thought Raw this week was a huge step under the last couple of weeks. But we'll get into that as we go along. All right, so that was some hot trash there. Are we going to keep the hot trash train going? Sure, why not? Because we're going to talk about the Hogan and Ric Flair segment, Miz TV segment. Jesus fucking Christ. What the fuck was that? And that's not the last time I'm going to say that tonight either. Ric Flair was in a mood. He was in a mood. Yes, he was unquestionably told. He was unquestionably told that, you have to be pissed off at Hogan because we have to get this feud going. They jaw-jack at each other, and then they sort of tease the fact that they're going to fight, but goddamn well that Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan are not going to come to blows. They're not going to fight. WWE is not going to risk either of these guys getting injured. Rick, what are you talking? Anyway, the crowd was into it though. But what was this all to announce? Why are they doing this? What was the point of having Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan start a pissing contest? It's to set up a multi-man tag team match. Team Flair versus Team Hogan at your favorite WWE event and mine. The most uncontroversial pay-per-view they do. Crown Jewel. And they're having Flair and Hogan put teams together, and they're going to have a fight as teams at Crown Jewel a few weeks before Survivor Series, which is the pay-per-view where you have your teams doing shit. Anyway, there's run-ins here. There's Hogan, who announces that his team captain is Seth Rollins. So they're Seth involved in something else here tonight. He was involved in the Rey Mysterio stuff. Now he doesn't have a match. Now he's involved in the Team Hogan thing. And then there's The Fiend, of course. And then on Team Flair, he announces that his captain is Randy Orton, which I like because there's history. It makes sense. Then Baron Corbin comes out and he's revealed to be a part of Team Flair. They blindside Rollins. And then Rusev comes out for the save. And apparently he's on Team Hogan because he poses with Hogan and Rollins at the top of the ramp. I didn't care for this. And I'll get to it a little later because it sort of wraps up everything. But pretty much anything that has to do with Crown Jewel is no-go for me. I don't understand why this... I don't understand why there's so much hype being put into this consistent, overblown house show. And I don't understand why they're setting up a 5-team match, 5-person 2-team match when the Survivor Series are just around the corner. God. Oh, let's see here. Yes, Vape Ross Vape, as he says in the chat, the point here of doing all of this is Saudi money. Nick Wolf says Rambling Rabbit is the son of Adam Rose's bunny. Tim Travers says, I love a 5-on-5 match done right. And just to be very, very clear, I don't have an issue with them doing 5-on-5 matches. I love Survivor Series. When it's Survivor Series. And Jason PS3 is here. How you doing? So yeah, all of this is really weird. All right, let's move on. Let's go back to something a little more positive. Let's get rid of this hot trash and let's go back to some good old fashioned cool beans. When we got Cesaro versus Ricochet, I love this match. I thought it was fantastic. Cesaro is such a bloody treasure. I love him so much. Even if he comes out in chinos, I think he's great. Both of these guys' entrances were fantastic thanks to the new Titantron. I didn't talk about the new set. I love the new set. It's like a huge screen, right? Well, not only is it like a huge screen, it is exactly that. It is a new screen. I loved how it looked. With the huge, everything just looked bigger and more impressive. When Ricochet came out and they had the backlights, doing the sparkles, the stars. I thought that was fantastic. Cesaro coming out with the green quadrants appearing. Oh, that looks so good. Since I'm a production guy and I've worked in this business before, the one thing they have to figure out, like, you can tell that the top part of the screen is independent to the bottom, like, curvy skate ramp part. You can tell that it's two different projections, and they're not quite on the same level. The minute that they are able to get all of those screens, the big flat half and the curved LED one, once they're able to get both of those really talking in sync, it's going to be even more huge. It's going to be even better. They have a really, really great technical setup on their hands here. It looks fantastic. I really, really dug it. And since we're talking about production, I thought Vic Joseph did a great job for his first evening on the job. I think Dio Madden likes to think he's a color commentator, and Jerry Lawler is annoying as hell. Let's go back to Cesaro and Ricochet. They started at each other really, really fast. The pace was great. Cesaro doing a gorilla press into a fucking GTS. I don't know why that didn't end the match. It was so good. Ricochet finishes him off with a Dragon Rana. It was a fun match. It was too short. And everything that Cesaro has been touching recently has been nothing but goddamn molten gold. It's been great. And if you don't believe me, and how that giving Ricochet time, he will do something amazing. If you don't believe me, go to NXT UK, take over Cardiff, look at his match that he had with Ilya Dragunov. It is splendid. It is so good. And he won the match, which was a surprise because he's not a regular member of the roster, but both men look fantastic. And you know, if I was Ilya Dragunov, I would have freaked at the idea of wrestling with Cesaro. That probably was fantastic for him. But they had a solid 14-15 minute match that was so good. Second best match of the evening, if you ask me. I'd have to rewatch the tag team match again because the triple threat. Yeah. Because Andrews and Webster and the Grizzled Young Veterans, they were really, really good. And it was a fantastic match. It was so good. We just need more of that Cesaro, but this is not on him. It's not on him. It's entirely on WWE deciding that they don't know what to do with him all that much. So those were that was fantastic. And another cool beans. I'm going to give another cool beans to Cedric and versus AJ Styles. Again, loved the match, but again, thought it was too short. But Jesus, these guys have chemistry. They just have it. Everything clicks. The slingshot phenomenal forearm to the floor was fantastic. The spinning kick by Cedric was great. The scoop reverse DDT by Styles was also great. And I love the ending. AJ lifts Cedric up and to hit the Styles Clash, but it's blocked, reversed by Cedric to get AJ up for a lumbar check. AJ rolls through it and into the Clash for the win. I thought this was so good. And I challenge anyone to tell me that Cedric Alexander is being buried. This is not how you bury a guy. You have him lose. You don't have him lose matches in a competitive sense. You don't even put the guy on TV. That's how you bury a guy. He's not being buried. He's being put out there as a contender to AJ Styles' title, but AJ Styles, who is legitimately one of the best wrestlers in the world, he should be beating a guy like Cedric Alexander, who is up and coming, trying to carve a niche out for himself. Can't quite get it done. Can hang, but can't quite get the job done because he's not AJ Styles. I'm okay with this booking. It makes sense to me. It really, really does make more sense to me. We're going to be talking about NXT, guys. Don't worry. We're getting there. I have one more piece of main roster business I need to get through. And you know what it is. You know what piece of business I have to talk about. And I'm pulling up this label here. For those of you who are not viewing right now or listening, I'm pulling up the hot trash label right here. And you know why. Because of Seth Rollins versus Rusev. That's why. I don't even remember the match. I don't even remember the match. I just remember the goddamn ending. I remember being happy that Rusev was in the match. I remember saying, you know what? As much as I love Rusev, this is a downgrade from what we were promised as a main event. Harkening back to my earlier comments regarding bait and switches, right? Baron Corbin and Randy Orton come out because they're on team goddamn Flair, and they're Rusev and Seth Rollins can't even get along, and they're on the same team because you know what? Because baby faces in WWE are stupid. Can't get along. We have to fight each other. Bobby Lashley's music hits, and he comes out. Like, what is he doing here? Bobby Lashley. That said, Bobby Lashley, out with an injury, was supposed to be back like in November, late October. If he's back early and he can compete, that's good news. And I never like it when a wrestler gets taken out because of an injury. And it always warms my heart when they are able to return. So good that Bobby Lashley is back and that he's back earlier. Good signs. Chapeau. However, he stands there and he points to the entrance, right? And he goes, and then he waits there. And then he turns around and he's like, no, hang on a second, wait a second. And then he goes, and everyone's waiting. Rusev is in the ring waiting. He tossed Seth to the floor, and Bobby Lashley is sort of like, and someone's supposed to come out, and eventually who comes out? It's Lana. And not only does Lana come out, not only does she go and join Bobby Lashley, and everyone's like, ooh, she starts making out with him. Or he starts making out. Look, they start making out. And when I say making out, I mean like Showtime late night 1995 making out. Holy shit. And I don't know if they were going long, like if the segment was supposed to be done shorter, if they were just going long on time, but it just wouldn't stop. I was sitting there watching two grown adults tongue wrestle and grope at each other publicly for easily 35 to 50 long, interminable seconds. While in the meantime, Rusev is in the ring, just standing there, destitute, staring at them. And nothing happens outside of the makeout session until The lights go out and the Fiend appears. The Fiend appears and attacks Seth Rollins. Just 5 seconds previous to this, I had a couple of people making out, being shoved down my throat. Hell, there were tongues being shoved down throats, sure, but I was being subjected to that. And all of a sudden, I've got horror movie villain appearing out of nowhere and attacking Seth Rollins and mandible clawing him down. What's going on? I'm going to tell you what I hate about this. And this is, it's even if I'm sick of the portrayal of Lana that they have, because they had Lana actually had her try out to be an actual wrestler. She wasn't very good. But, they have a thing called the Performance Center. Now, I don't know if she just didn't want to do it anymore. I don't know the story. But at least they were branching her out from just being Lana there. This is not the first time they pulled this kind of angle with her either. So even outside of that, even of their complete lack of imagination here, I hate the idea of an infidelity angle. WWE has never been able to do a successful one. They all stink. Lana is the worst wife. This is what it establishes. She's not a good wife to Rusev. She's not. She never has been. She even broke up Rusev Day. No, I'm exaggerating. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. That this is another level that they're adding to this. But it just comes the fuck out of nowhere. You just don't understand why this is happening. And I've had people on Twitter say, well, you're talking about it, so it must have worked. No. I've communicated this unto y'all as well. I, as an intelligent, living, breathing human being, am done giving wrestling angles a pass because, it's just wrestling. If WWE wants me to watch sports entertainment, the entertainment part of it better be up to snuff with what I am capable of watching on a daily basis on any subscription service or television these days, or even at the fucking movies. I've said this before. We're in a golden age of television right now. The quality of what we see has never been as good as it is today. If you're watching wrestling for your stories, you are doing yourself a disservice. You should be watching anything else than wrestling. This could have been built. This could have been stretched out another week. It could have very easily, especially when you consider that your main event of your pay-per-view in just a few days is taking a back seat here to this smooch fest. Not only is it taking a back seat to the smooch fest, it's taking a back seat to Rey Mysterio, and it's taking a back seat to Crown Jewel hype. It's just like the last few minutes. Seth Rollins barely mentioned The Fiend the whole evening. They tried to pack so much stuff into Monday night that you just end up, you don't know, just too much stuff, too much tonal dissonance at the end where you're seeing an infidelity angle, then whoops, suddenly terror appears out of nowhere. And that's how you end, like in a blur. And you're like, what am I supposed to feel? What is going on? And it's not like a, oh my God, this is chaos fun thing. It's more like, this is chaos. I didn't know what to make heads or tails about this. They could have stretched it out. Could have just have Lana and Lashley this week just like trade snide glares. And then next week have the makeout session. Why did it have to be this week? There was no reason for it to be absolutely 100% this week. We're not even getting a match out of it at Hell in a Cell. Hell, we only have 3 matches at Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell hasn't even been hyped properly. We've had NXT hyped. We've had SmackDown on Fox hyped, and we've even started hyping the Crown Jewel event. But as of right now, as I'm recording right now, there are still only 3 matches announced for a pay-per-view that is going to happen in 1 to 3 days. And the main event of that was barely hyped during the entire 3 hours of Raw. The season premiere. Oh. Bayley's even out on social media challenging Candice LeRae to a match on Sunday because she has nothing, and she's like, well, herp derp derp. And I'm okay with it. Let's make that happen. But you have a pay-per-view. You have a pay-per-view on Sunday, Hell in a Cell, which is technically like one of the highlights of the year as far as pay-per-views go. And your 2 cell matches, we don't really give a shit about. They don't belong in a cell. Everything was a distraction to what we're building towards, which is a pay-per-view, which is Seth versus The Fiend. If there's only one saving grace that can come out of all of this is if Seth loses the match, it should be because of due in storyline, of course, has to be due to the fact that he's overworked himself. That he just took on too much at once. The Fiend, Braun Strowman, Rey Mysterio, but ended up being Rusev. Oh, and then Crown Jewel on top of that. I think he should just pass out of exhaustion. And I'm telling you guys, I really, really do. And it pains me. Because as wrestling fans, we have a tendency to be like, well, it's wrestling, but we deserve more. We're smart people. We're brilliant, intelligent people. We shouldn't be served this and then us going, well, it's just wrestling. It is just wrestling. But we've decided to invest 3 hours of our lives on Monday nights to watch it. We should feel that respect back. Or just go off and do what other promotions are doing and maybe focus more on the sports than on the entertainment. And maybe we won't be having these discussions. There we go. That, folks, will wrap it up for my WWE inspection this week. There we go. Guys, remember, immediately after the stream here tonight, I will have the lovely Kristen Ashley from belltobells.com joining me on the Patreon-only live stream that I affectionately refer to as Warren is Off the Clock. We are going to be talking about Stardom. We have news and rumors coming out of the women exclusive promotion out of Japan that you don't want to miss. Come take a look at that. You can join the Patreon at patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes. And it would also show some support for the show, which I will appreciate. So come and join us. We're going to live stream here just as soon as we are done, but we are not done yet because we have to talk about NXT and AEW. Now, I talked about NXT last night when I was talking about NXT last night on Fightful, on the Wednesday Night Wars podcast that I had do with Sean Ross Sapp, with Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful, and Alex Pulowski as well. We talked about, well, I talked about NXT, and Alex this week had the privilege of chatting about the event that happened on All Elite Wrestling. And I'm going to tell you, I watched NXT. I thought it was a fantastic show. It was really, really fantastic. There's some, all the matches were good. All the matches were good. Good to great. There wasn't anything where you're like, well, no, they were all really good. Adam Cole versus Matt Riddle was a banger. And Sean Ross Sapp last night was telling, that he feels that maybe this is the end of Matt Riddle in NXT. Apparently there's a lot of voices calling for him to be up on main roster. You can't even call it main roster anymore. It's not even that. Either on Raw or SmackDown. We'll see what happens. But man, that match was extraordinary. It was so good. We also had the women's championship match, Shayna Baszler versus Candice LeRae. Oh, that was a delight. That was so much fun. Candice looked really, really strong and didn't lose in a ridiculous fashion. She was well protected as well. Plus, we had Damian Priest attacking Pete Dunne in one of these moments where I'm like, this is a match I did not know I wanted until you decided to book it for me. And I'm like, hey, Damian Priest versus Pete Dunne is going to be really fucking awesome. I'm like, yeah, yes, that's going to be really fucking awesome. So I don't want to harp too much on AEW, not AEW, on NXT. I do want to harp a little on AEW. But NXT last night was a solid 2 hours of programming. It was really, really good. Pace was fantastic. And I'm telling you guys, from Io Shirai versus Mia Yim, and even to Undisputed Era versus the Street Profits, everything is worth watching. There's no lulls. It was all really, it was good. It was good to great. You should definitely take the time to check it out. Of course, big news coming out of it is Finn Balor clearly stating that he is back on NXT. And I am okay with this. I'm fine with it. What are we going to do with Finn Balor on Raw or SmackDown? What are they going to... Since he forfeit the Universal title and came back from injury, they haven't done anything legitimately interesting with Finn Balor. They haven't done anything good with him. Recently, just a few months ago, he won the Intercontinental Champion, and we were like, yeah, finally, retribution for Finn. Let's give him some angles. Let's give him some defenses. Let's have him have a weekly open challenge. Had him die to the Fiend so that he could go get married. The last 18 months for Finn Balor were horrible. Horrible for him. Sure, put him on NXT. You see the reception he got last night on when he popped out. It was amazing. He's home. You kidding me? The matches we can get out of this? Him and versus Gargano? We're probably going to get him versus Adam Cole. Leo Rush? Man, I mean, there's just so much possibilities here. I'm so ready for this. It's going to be great stuff. Anthony in the chat points out Riddle needs to be on SmackDown for the legit sports feel, and I can get behind that. Also adds that Damian Priest is the fucking man. That's true. Benoit says they booked Finn like shit. The guy's a workhorse and has such charisma. We need Prince Devitt back ASAP. That's what we're kind of all hoping for in Critical Sting, says Balor versus Kushida. Give it to me all. Give me it all. So and Tommaso Ciampa's back. Tommaso Ciampa's back. And again, that's also good news. I mean, that was such a, you know what? Maybe his neck injury was a blessing in disguise if it kept him off of main roster back then. Only to have him come out at this critical juncture in NXT where he is going to shine. He's going to shine in this context here. He's an anchor for NXT. I'm so glad he's back. Loved how he came out. Look, the whole setup was fantastic. You have Adam Cole at the top of the ramp with his Undisputed Era backdrop, on the Titantron, and he's holding the belt. And Ciampa, right, his Titantron starts with shattering glass shards, right? So it's really kind of like Adam Cole's Titantron being blasted to pieces. And you have Ciampa come out to a huge reaction. Full Sail is not a big building, folks. It's not a big place. That pop was thunderous. That was amazing. So he comes out and he goes out and in perfect Tommaso Ciampa fashion, he comes out and all he does is stare at the belt. Goldie, he stares at the belt. And I've mentioned this on post shows in the past when I was doing them on Fightful Select and sometimes even here on the old version of the show. Tommaso Ciampa, when he would lift the belt, he would always stare. He'd look at the belt, but he wouldn't stare at the belt. He'd stare at his nameplates. So he's coming back and he sees it's Goldie. It's his belt. He never lost it. This is good stuff. I'm really glad he's back. Robert Larry asks, do you think that Fox demands will push WWE to make their talents that Fox demands will push the WWE to make their talents or to push their talents to the breaking point of wanting to leave WWE? Look, WWE is not releasing anyone. They're not. And they're going to hang on to contracts for as long as they can. They have the money. They have the resources. They are not getting rid of anyone. They are not going to let another Jon Moxley happen. You can trust me on that. Not in this climate. They're going to do everything and anything to hang on to people, even if it means, doing like stuff like they did with the Revival, where they roll back a contract because of time taken off for injuries, which is apparently stuff that they can do on the contract. Like, look at what they did with Pac. Not Pac anymore. Pac. Had him sit on the sideline for a year, and that was before they had the Fox money. Trust me, they're going to pay people to sit at home before they let anyone leave. Benoit says Gargano does not need another NXT title run. He would be great. He would be great to chase it with another top NXT talent, though. And Critical Sting says not another Moxley, but Rusev feels inevitable. Well, we'll see how that goes. But again, this is the same type of situation. If they leave Rusev go and AEW, maybe if AEW picks him up, I mean, Rusev is going to go on a tear there as well. It's going to be... Anyway, look, they're not letting go of anyone. They're not. They're going to do everything they can to keep him. But let's talk about AEW Dynamite. And that was exactly what it was, right? I was able to catch the show. I recorded it, watched it after. It was so much fun. And by God, it felt good to have a national high production television show, high production wrestling television show again, a second one, an alternative It really did feel really good. And from the moment it started with the great intro, I love the colors. I'm so glad that they dumped the fire style, the flames and the explosions, because it's Dynamite. Because on one hand, it kind of felt a lot like Nitro. On the other hand, it didn't distinguish them all that much. And guys, I want you to, in the chat, I want you to tell me what you guys thought about the presentation. Tell me what you guys felt about how things were set up. Because I love the intro. I don't have a problem with the music. I know a lot of people are, and I think it works fine as a wrestling theme. It's okay. I'm glad, their set feels familiar now that we've seen a few AEW shows, with those kind of like those big chandelier setups at the top of the ramp. It felt new, but it also felt very familiar. It's like, yeah, I know this environment. This is cool. Everything felt, it felt like everything was coalescing. Everything they were doing was coalescing to this moment here. It felt good. I liked it. I really, really do like it. Caleb Smith says, I lost my shit so many times during that 2 hours. Critical Sting says, the intro gave me heavy SummerSlam vibes. The SummerSlam theme this year made me thirsty. It just made me thirsty. Michael Stepney says AEW presentation was top notch, including the intro. Soul says Dynamite gave me Nitro vibes. And Benoit says, I just don't like TSN's commercial management. They happen too suddenly because TNT did picture-in-picture. Look, they didn't add commercials. All the commercials fell at moments where they were announcing the commercials, but we never get picture-in-picture in Canada here, so we always and contrary to what Kristen Ashley is trying to advance in the chat right now, I am not a thirsty bitch. I'm just a thirsty, like legitimately dehydrated gentleman. I'm a dehydrated gentleman. Kristen. Remember to join us if you're watching this live on the Patreon, patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes as soon as we're done. Not reading that comment, Kristen. Cody versus Sammy Guevara at first. Even though we all knew that Cody was going to win the match, I thought it was fantastic. And it actually exceeded my expectations. It's such a good match. It was amazing. Everything was great about it, and I liked the beat down. I like how Brandy, despite it all, Brandy and Cody were a little sneaky, got a bit of a, veteran win, I guess. That's very much part of the American Nightmare thing, so I'm down with it. I like the match. Sammy Guevara looked good. Of course, Cody was going to put him over. Well, make him look like $1 million. So that was fantastic. Brian Cutler versus MJF was fine. It was okay. MJF. This was the match to establish that MJF is for the viewing audience at home. Established that he's a dick, and he did fantastic work. He is a dick. So that was great. Page versus Hangman Page versus Pac. Fantastic. That was my favorite match on Dynamite. It was so good. It was the best showing, I dare say, Page's best showing since the whole AEW's thing started. This was definitely his best match. Pac he's just so good. He's so solid and convincing. He's just a son of a bitch, isn't he? He's just a son of a bitch. He comes in to hurt people. The Brutalizer is so good. I mean, goddamn Rings of Saturn. The Rings of Saturn never looked that harsh. It's a perfect finisher for him. The Red Arrow, Black Arrow now looks as fantastic as always. Then Rio versus then we had Rio versus Nyla Rose, where Rio becomes the first AEW Women's World Champion. I'll get those in proper sequence. I thought this match was really, really good. I thought it was a great storytelling match, and there was so much emotion put into this match that it saved it from some of the not so smooth moments within the match. Rio put on a hell of a show. Nyla knew what she had to do to get Rio over. Look, this worked. This just clicked. This was a nice feel-good moment, a fantastic moment. My main problem in this match was why Nyla would use chairs. Why would she use chairs? Why would she risk a disqualification? Yes, before you start pulling all your comments out and typing your angry emails and frustrated tweets. Yes, I know in AEW it is referee's discretion. But referee's discretion doesn't necessarily mean, oh, well, he's loose with the DQs. It could also be, nope, hey, you just pulled out a chair, I'm calling the DQ. That's what a referee's discretion goes both ways, folks. So I submit unto you again, why would she risk a DQ, disqualifying herself in this match, which is for the Women's World Championship? Why would she do that? It doesn't make sense to me. Wrestling is at its best when it makes sense. At that moment there, I disconnected. But this is me, right? It's just more. And it's a good match nonetheless. And I really like the story. But it did create a break for me. It's like, why is she doing this? Then she doesn't care about the title? She just wants to hurt Rio? I didn't get it. I don't understand. Daniel Price is in the chat. How you doing? He says, because even though Rio was tiny, Nyla was intimidated and felt she had to do it because size wasn't enough. That's what they were trying to tell story-wise. I get that, Daniel. And you are absolutely right. And in the context of any other match other than the match to determine the number one, the inaugural women's champion, in any other context, I would be 100% behind you. Here, it doesn't make sense. She's in this match. She worked to be in this match. She won a battle royal to be in this match. To me, the message that comes across here is, I don't give a shit about the title. I just want to hurt people. And that's not what you want for your first inaugural match. You might want that as an angle down the road. I mean, Becky Lynch pulled that shit off at Clash of Champions, where she started wailing on Sasha because she's like, I don't give a fuck. I just want to hurt this bitch. You know, that was basically what that was it. Otherwise, it makes sense. It's just the context in this bubble here. Anyway, Rio won. Michael Nakazawa came out and ate shit, and boy, oh boy, did he almost eat shit for real, with Nyla almost dropping him on his goddamn head. Look, Nyla Rose, she's talented. She lacks polish. She really, really lacks polish. She's not ready to be put in the position they put her in. She's too rough, sloppy at times. And when I saw her, Nakazawa's head sort of go like this when it touched the canvas, I was like, Jesus Christ, we're gonna get it. We're the inaugural AEW, and there's a murder. But no, everything went well. Then we had the Elite versus Santana and Ortiz, which is apparently how they're calling themselves, which is good. And Chris Jericho, your AEW champion. This was such a feel-good moment, right? To have Kenny and the Bucks come out like the original Elite to the BTE theme music. I thought that was so good. I thought it gave me some shivers. It felt perfect to see it on television, to see the guys back again. And this match here, this was all about the angles. This was all about the storytelling. And I saw a lot of people shit on the main event, saying, "Oh, there we go. They're already ruining the main events and doing stories." But this is what they had to do. And the way they did it, it was fantastic. And as much as WWE tried to pack in so much stuff in their main event, there was more stuff happening in this main event here, but everything flowed so much more naturally. Everything made sense. You had time to breathe. You had time to digest everything that was happening. You had time to understand that Jon Moxley just wanted to beat the hell out of Kenny Omega, drag him backstage, and fucking dirty deeds him. I don't know what he calls it anymore. The paradigm shift, the Death Rider. What does he call it? When he dirty deeded him through the glass table. The Death Rider. Thank you, Caleb Smith. Right through the table, a glass table. Yes, it was gimmicked, but what a hell of a visual. That was fantastic. Then we get back to the ring. Chris Jericho wins the match with the Judas effect. However, they start beating down on the Bucks after Cody runs in for the save. He got punked out by Jericho earlier in the evening. We're heading to Full Gear, so they have to put a focus on this feud here. Cody versus Chris Jericho for the AEW Championship. Dustin Runnels comes in to try and save his bro. But then out of the audience comes fucking... Oh, no, wait. Guevara also comes in and he comes to kick Cody in the balls. That's what he does. And he kicks Cody in the groin. Dustin Runnels comes in for the save. But then Jack Hager runs in from the audience and just punks everyone out. And we end up with the heels standing tall. Chris Jericho, Santana, Ortiz, Guevara, and Jack fucking Swagger. A new heel stable, perhaps? The stable of evil guys? And sure, I can buy that. And they all have their roles. Jericho's the leader. Guevara's he's the lightweight, the cruiserweight. You have your tag team, and you have the muscle with Swagger. Swagger's going to be fantastic. He's bigger than everyone on the roster. It's such a good addition. He's going to come across as a beast. There's so many smaller guys on the roster. He's going to stand out just by showing up. It's fantastic. I didn't know how excited I was when I saw him. I was like, wow, really? It wasn't as much like, whoa, Jack Swagger, you know? It's more like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. That's interesting, you know, kind of thing. But, you know, the more you think about it, the more it makes sense. And sure, loved the fact that JR put him over as MMA fighter undefeated in Bellator. Didn't say that he was a former professional wrestler. Didn't say anything about that. Didn't mention Zeb Coulter either. That was such good stuff. I loved it. It was good. Look, I thought this was a great opening salvo. And boy, what a salvo it was, because the ratings came in today. And it was Dynamite that was stuck into NXT's butt and then lit, and then NXT lost its butt because the Dynamite exploded in its butt. Listen. AEW, got in 1.4 million viewers. 1.4 million viewers. NXT rolled in 891,000. That's basically what we have here is a 0.7 rating as far as AEW goes, 0.5 for NXT. And in the ever important 18 to 49 demo, AEW scored 878,000 viewers as opposed to 414 on the NXT side. And in case you're wondering, why do we always talk about the 1849 demo? That's because that's where networks and sponsors deal in, because that's the demographic that spends. That's the demographic that has disposable income, either families this is the demo that spends money. The teenagers don't spend money; they need their parents' money. And once you're over 50, you're effectively dead to marketers. I'm 5 years away from being completely left alone by anything marketing related. I can't wait. I can't tell you. I can't wait. So basically, that's why this demo is important as well. Now, my takeaways from this, my takeaway is this. This week, we had over 2 million people in the United States of America tune in to watch professional wrestling live on television. NXT a few weeks ago on their first hour on USA got 1.2 million out to watch their show. Tonight combined we had last night, 2.2 about million. That's crazy. To me, it says two things, but it's very, very early. But to me right now, it says two things. There's a taste for pro wrestling, and there are viewers who are being drawn in by a new offer for wrestling. Because if you consider that the 1.2 million that we had a couple of weeks ago was the starting point where you're like, okay, well, this is like the basic audience. We got 800,000 more people. But no, we had about, no, wait a second. I'm terrible at math. We had a whole bunch. We had about 1 million more people tune in. There you go. We had about 1 million more people tune in last night to watch wrestling. And if that doesn't make you happy as a wrestling fan, goddamn boys, girls, I don't know what to tell you. It's such good news for the business. It really, really is. And if the ratings, for me, what they mean is they're an indicator of the health of the business, of how people want to listen to, if people want to listen to wrestling or not, how they're going to consume it, how they're going to get their hands on it. If you're sitting around saying, oh, well, NXT, people tuned in, saw it wasn't nothing special, and they decided not to come back. Oh, everyone's just tuning in to AEW because it's the shiny new toy and they just wanted to see what it was look like. It's going to go on a down. This is the kind of talk that only benefits AEW, NXT, and their network partners. There's no reason for you to side on who has better ratings. What you should be siding on is whether or not viewership will grow overall. I don't care if they watch AEW. I don't care if they watch NXT. I don't care if it's a combination of both. But if week after week we get more and more people, or it stabilizes and we can maintain, that's what's exciting. Knowing that there are more and more people tuned into wrestling and who visibly want a different type of wrestling than what WWE has to offer. Now, this is a very, very, very basic analysis out of 1 week of competition. We're going to have to wait for a couple of weeks to see how these trends set up, because this is what these numbers are. You start off with numbers, you see what a couple of weeks look like, and you see trends develop. You know, Vince McMahon isn't passed out on the ground crying or calling Triple H angrily, telling him, I'm taking over your show. That's not how it works. People may be fantasizing that this is a death sentence or that Triple H is going to be bumped. Vince McMahon has been involved in TV for so long. He knows how this works. Going to let the trends develop, and we're going to see what happens. To me, this is only good news. It's only good news for wrestling fans that there are so many people out there wanting to watch wrestling on national television. It's good for all of us. And if it's played properly, the audiences will grow. I'm really, really, really excited. And it's not a death sentence for NXT either, by the way. You know, in case you want, like, you know, yes, AEW blew them out of the water. That's fine. We're all okay with that. But NXT this week only lost 115,000 viewers as opposed to last week. So that's, you know, there was no AEW, there was no head-to-head. So if in the head-to-head they only lose 115,000, that's not so bad. And NXT did an identical demo number, an identical number to the demo, to the 18 to 49 demo from last week. They did basically the same number, so they've maintained an audience like that. So there you go. Look, David Bixenspan, and Anthony mentioned it on his stream before that over on Smart to Death. David Bixenspan wrote an article for Forbes breaking down the ratings. You should go check that out. Well, there we go. We're gonna wrap this one up, guys and gals. I want to thank you all for joining me this evening. Of course, a reminder: Kristen Ashley, who's in the chat, is going to be joining me on the Patreon side now. We're going to regroup. We're going to get some more. We're going to get some hydration going. We're going to regroup, get her called in, and we are going to do the extra Mr. Warren Hayes live stream called Warren is Off the Clock for Patreon members. You can go sign up right now, and you'll be able to jump in immediately. Well, not immediately. A few minutes, short minutes. After we're done here, we're going to go start that one up. So hopefully we'll see you on that on the flip side. Otherwise, don't forget, Fightful tomorrow night on the Fightful channel, youtube.com/Fightful. After SmackDown, I do the post show with Sean Ross Sapp. Saturday morning, 11 a.m., Get the Tables is going to be joining me for Hell in a Cell predictions. God, I hope there's going to be more than just 3 matches. I really, really do. Otherwise, we will see you next Thursday for another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I want to thank everyone for joining me in the chat live here this evening. And I will see you next time, which will be next Thursday.